So what's happening when it comes to Jasmy? I've been noticing that some people out there have been blaming the chief financial officer of Jasmy for what's going on as of right now, in a sense where they're saying, oh, Jasmy's sentiment is so bad as of right now. It's down almost 7% in the past 24 hours. And most importantly, they think that he's kind of lost focus when it comes to Jasmy. People seem to think that because the chief financial officer of Jasmy and also he is the CEO of Jiangshin, people seem to think that because he took up a position at a company called the Remix Point in Japan, they think that it's kind of game over when it comes to Jasmy. But I highly disagree with that in a fundamental perspective, and let me explain why. Because actually, there's been a pretty impressive statistic not too long ago indicating why Remix Point, something that Hiroshi Harada, the CFO of Jasmy, joined, is actually not doing so bad. But I first want to clarify, nothing I say is financial advice, and I'm not telling anyone to do anything. But here's the thing. Hiroshi Harada, again, no surprise, he joined something called Remix Point, a publicly listed company out in Japan. But did you know that actually not too long ago, it was indicated that Remix Point was ranked 16th in trading volume in terms of the ranking when it comes to Japanese stocks. So this is pretty impressive stuff right here. So could you imagine the CFO of Jasmy and the CEO of Jiangshin taking up a position like that? Granted, he's still a part of Jasmy and Jiangshin, that didn't change, but he took up a position at Remix Point, so he's part of their team now. Could you imagine this? He's now a part of the team of a company that not too long ago was ranked 16th in terms of trading volume in regard to Japanese stocks. So could you imagine that? Shouldn't that be a celebration? Shouldn't it be a celebration that someone who was in the Jasmy and Jiangshin team was even considered for a role like that at Remix Point? So we gotta let that sink in. This is actually pretty impressive, and it actually isn't gonna be bad for Jasmy or Jiangshin. If anything, it helps it. The fact that when people actually search up Remix Point and then they see, let's say, something like Hiroshi Harada, and they see, wow, he's also part of Jasmy and as well as Jiangshin, that is indirectly gonna give more attention to Jasmy, right? Also Jiangshin too by extension. So it's not a bad thing. I don't know why people seem to think that because he took up another position, now, it's game over. I don't agree with that. I think if anything, it's only going to help Jasmy and Jiangshin moving forward. So yeah, sure, it may be down over 6% in the past 24 hours, but a lot of things are having a slight pullback as of right now. And the thing is, for an altcoin especially, up 10%, down 10%, we see that often. That's the thing. For other markets out there, maybe a movement like that could take weeks or months or whatever. In some cases, maybe even years. But when it comes to this space, seeing that type of movement in a 24-hour time frame or time span, I should say, it's not out of the ordinary. That happens so often. For instance, some projects could randomly, slightly go up 10% and then down 10% the next 24 hours after that. It's really nothing too surprising, in my opinion. It's just how the space is. Now, I get it. It may feel so rapid like that, but if I didn't like it, I could just easily not be in the space. But I voluntarily want to. That's the thing. I just want to voluntarily. Now, if I take a look at it as well, Jasmy, as of right now, being at around half a penny, one thing that I do find kind of surprising about this is that if we take a look at what Jasmy has going on for it as of right now, like Jiangshin, which is an incubation project under it that's focused on AI, it's a layer 2. It also has Jasmy Chain. Not to mention the CFO recently took up a position at one of the biggest companies out there in Japan that's publicly listed. So you're going to let that sink in. It has all of that going on for it, yet at the same time, it's at around half a penny, so at around half of 1 cent. Let's take this into consideration. Let's not take a look back too far. Let's just take a look at, let's say, in the case of August of 2025. In August, we were almost at 2 cents when it comes to Jasmy. So let's just say for simplicity's sake, 2 cents, right? And considering we're around half a penny as of right now, let's just say exactly half a penny. So what, we're around 4 times lower than August of last year? Was August of last year a good time for altcoins? No, that wasn't even that good. That wasn't even the peak of Jasmy, if we think about it, because at least even in 2025, keep in mind, in January at one point, Jasmy was at around 4 cents, right? So going at 2 cents really isn't groundbreaking whatsoever. That's the thing. And yet still we're around 4 times lower than 2 cents. A moment in time, which was considered bearish when it comes to Jasmy, and we're around 4 times lower than that. Kind of ridiculous? I think so. In a good way though, because if I think about it, it's kind of surprising that we're this much lower than 2 cents. A moment in time in which it was considered so bearish. Let's also take this into consideration. If we take a look at Jasmy as of right now, this kind of feels like a throwback because, you know, these levels are basically levels we once saw back in 2023. Wow. So I'm seeing 2023 levels, but in 2026. Kind of ridiculous, right? Because when I think about the Jasmy chain, when I think about what Hiroshi Harada has done so far, when I take a look at what happened in regard to Jangshin, when I see all of this, and yet still, we're back at 2023 levels in 2026? Wow. I would not complain about that just because if I walked inside Costco, I wouldn't complain about a discount, so I don't know why I'd complain in this hypothetical space, but I'm not telling anyone to do anything. Not to mention, if I take a look at it as well, Jasmy is still focused on data storage. People seem to think, oh, it's outdated. But I don't agree with that. Filecoin, a project that is more massive than Jasmy, a lot of fans, way more fans than Jasmy, that's focused on data storage. So is that cooked? Is that done? Is that outdated? A lot of people would literally say no. And Jasmy is literally focused on that exact same niche. It's focused on data storage as well, primarily. Now, people like to say, oh, but Filecoin is focused on AI too. That's true, but that's why Jasmy is Jangshin, right? Jangshin is really focused on AI. So this is the thing. Basically, people sometimes like to arguably say that Jasmy is a watered-down version of Filecoin. You know, I could get that argument just because Filecoin is a lot more massive and has more fans, and it's just a little bit more established in terms of a presence when it comes to this space, in terms of popularity. So I understand all of that. Jasmy's kind of like the Robin when it comes to data storage, when it comes to this space. The Batman, it's like Filecoin. So that's the thing. If Batman isn't cooked, I highly doubt that Robin is cooked. That's just the way I view it. So Jasmy doesn't even really need to do anything that special. And if it could go back to 2 cents, we're already around 4 times lower than that. So here's the thing. People like to say, oh, that's so lame though. But Bitcoin is not 4 times lower than its all-time high. So why is that considered impressive if it goes back to its all-time high? But this, not even needing to go anywhere close to its all-time high, just going to 2 cents, is considered so bad, even though it's around 4 times away. No, I disagree with that, actually. That's just my mindset. Now, people like to say, well, what happens if the average cost is at 2 cents? If it just goes back there, it's just breaking even. Who cares about that? But here's my mentality, even though I am not telling anyone to do anything. But for whatever reason, if I just assume that my average cost was 2 cents, for whatever reason, if I just assume that, as of right now, Jasmy being at around half a cent, and because I'm dollar cost averaging once a month, in theory, I'm lowering down that average cost. Maybe that average cost might never go down to half a cent, but if it could go down to just maybe 1 cent, it's to the point that if it just recovers back to 2 cents, it's no longer breaking even, right? Because if I lower down my average cost to 1 cent, what happens is that now if it goes back to 2 cents, it's an appreciation. It's a movement of around 2 times. It's no longer just breaking even. So low prices, they actually give me this, I guess, time to lower down my average cost. That's the thing. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just trying to lower down my average cost. So if it returns back to a previously considered boring point, like let's say 2 cents, it's no longer breaking even. That's the thing. That's just kind of my mindset as of right now. But I'm not telling anyone to do anything. I just want to say thank you for watching, and I hope you all have a very nice day.